Nothing? Nothing at all? Okay, back. All right. Serves me right for messing around with my volume just after I started. I should have been doing that just before I started. Excellent. Well, thank you to everyone for coming along today, and a special thank you to Christina, who just a little bit higher up in the chat has just told me that my surname means a crafty man who makes nice round wooden objects like bowls, egg holders, nutcrackers, and much more. Pretty much anything you can do on the big Drexel machine, and that is something that I never knew. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christine. I should hang around with people who actually know what my name means more often. Thank you very much, Christine. I'll leave that one well unknown. Okay, I'll just change this into presentation. Now, hopefully what you should be seeing now is the presentation screen with the beginning of the presentation. So today I'm going to be doing a bit of a combination. It's going to be a combination of some storytelling, of the redevelopment of the assignment module, and some of it's going to be live demonstration of what the new assignment module looks like within Moodle 2.3, and some of it will also be talking about what I hope, if not 2.3, if I can't sneak the last few things I'd like to into 2.3, then they will end up being in 2.4 or immediately after 2.3 as a separate plugin. So today I'll go through Moodle assignments the next generation. So a little bit about me for the people who I haven't met in the room before. I've been using Moodle since around 2007. I was trying to think back, and I reckon it's either 06 or 07 when I started using it. At the moment, I'm the Director of Consulting at NetSpot, who, like Pukunui, who are very kindly sponsoring this event, are an Australian Moodle partner. And if you're interested in reading any of the other things that I do, then you can go and visit my blog, which at the moment is markdrexler.com. I think it will be changing soon to be drexelmachine.com, but I'll have to see if that domain name is free or not. Assuming none of you go out and park the domain and then charge me 10 times as much. Okay, Christina, I'm going to try and stay focused here. Or you can follow me on Twitter. Bonus points for the person who does actually go out and park that domain name just to stop me from getting it. Okay, so I'll start at the beginning of the story. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about NetSpot, we're a Moodle partner, and we tend to deal mainly with the Australian university sector. So we host for, I think, around about 10 of Australia's universities, or eight or nine universities, and we provide support for a few other universities that host their own Moodles. And these are large organisations. So the largest one on that list, just looking at them, I think would be, and even more importantly, Australian TAFE institutions. Yes, I should mention absolutely TAFEs and our schools as well. So I wasn't going to talk NetSpot, but yes, we host a lot of TAFEs and we host a lot of schools as well. But mainly I work in the university end of things. He says, backpedaling frantically to hopefully not annoy our TAFE people too much. So the institutions that we work with, TAFEs to a certain extent, but certainly the universities, they are large institutions. So La Trobe Uni there, I think, is about 35 odd thousand, somewhere between 30 and 35,000 students. And a lot of the time they have very large classes and very large usage of the assignment module. So whereas for some of our smaller clients, like our South Australian schools, they might be dealing with classes of 30, 40, 50 kids, maybe at the most. Within our university sector, we'll find that they're dealing with hundreds. I think the largest of our first year courses that we find in some of the first year university ones can be up around sort of heading on towards the 1,000 student mark sitting in a course. Now this This, of course, means that that these clients tend to have some fairly heavy needs around administration and management of the assignment. Frederick, yes, it has, and yes, you certainly should be able to hear something. If you're not, maybe Shane or Julian can give you a hand to work out what's wrong. So a lot of these universities have moved to Moodle already, and they're using various versions there. All but one of, I think almost all of those, maybe one or two of them are using 1.9, but most of those are using Moodle 2. And they, last year, with so many of them moving to Moodle, they decided that the assignment module as it was a good starting point, but they really needed some fairly significant enhancements right throughout the assignment module to meet the needs of these very large institutions with large student numbers, particularly in their first year courses. And so what they did, this group of universities that I've shown there, which 5 are Australian and 1 is a New Zealand university, got together and set up a consortium where they said, as a starting point, let's get together and document a whole bunch of commonly desired improvements that they all had. And the first steps in this, after they'd got that great big list, was to say, well, that's nice, it's a great big list of wants, but what can we actually do about it? So the first one that jumped was Flinders University, who had some really pressing needs that they really couldn't be using Moodle assignments very much at all without some of the things that they needed. And these were things like they needed to have I believe, a cover sheet attachment that was a mandatory thing. They needed to have students mandatorily clicking a box saying, yes, I guarantee that this work is my own and I haven't copied it from any other sources, etc., etc. Policy type things which educationally they weren't of any note, but from a university policy they were things that they just had to have. So what Flinders did was to directly fund some of these changes which were needed for the assignment module so that they could actually have a system that met their sort of policy needs. And they did that by coming to us, NetSpot, and we worked through with them what the sort of essential things they were. We did some development work to the existing Moodle assignment module, and we implemented those changes into their production Moodle environment. So that kept them happy in the short term, and that was good because it showed with open source, yes, you can customize, and yep, that's a good thing about Moodle. But we hit a thought pretty quickly to say, why don't we contribute these changes back into core Moodle code? And we like doing that for 2 reasons. One, because it's a nice way of being a part of the community and contributing the code back to everyone to make sure that everybody benefits from the code that we develop. And secondly, it ends up actually being cheaper for us and easier for our clients because it means that we don't have to constantly be maintaining custom code. We'd far prefer to get something back into the main distribution of Moodle and let everybody have it, and then everybody's working on it, everybody's fixing it, rather than having us holding stuff away. So it was a good idea, but then we hit a bit of a roadblock. And the roadblock was in a form of a conversation with me and Martin Dugiamis that went something like this. I popped over to Skype and had a bit of a chat with Martin, and we're having a talk, and I said, hey, we've done this really neat stuff with the assignment module. Are you okay if we get them back in? And the answer was pretty clear, actually, no, you can't. And the reasoning behind Martin saying a pretty flat out no was that the assignment module is a very old module in Moodle. It's one that's been around for a long, long time, and it's been slated for a rewrite for quite a while. And Martin basically said to us, no, you're not going to put any new code in there because the whole thing needs a rewrite before we start extending it out with any new features. Which is why some of these things like team-based assignments or group assignments, as some people would call them, have been hanging on for such a long time without ever actually being actioned, because it has been in need of a full rewrite. So foolishly, no, not foolishly, I said then, well, what about if we could manage to do the rewrite of the assignment module so that the complete rewrite of it as a part of the deal of us getting these additional changes back into Moodle Core. And Martin was, I mean, he's known us for a while now, and he's known our development team for quite a while now. And he said to us, yeah, look, that's fine if you want to do that, but provided you do it in a way which meets all the standards and expectations that the Moodle headquarters development team would expect of any code that they were writing themselves. So, you know, I just stumbled in and said, sure, how hard could it be? It won't be too bad, no worries. And from that point, we went on and we started to look at what the different changes were that we needed to make to the assignment module to get it to the point where headquarters and Martin weren't going to be happy with it. And we came up firstly with this collection of changes that we called the foundational changes. Yes, Alan, very much so. And the goal of the foundational changes really was, it wasn't about adding in any new functionality at all to the Moodle assignment. It was about trying to make the existing functionality but making it easier to set up, making it more consistent across subtypes. So quick question time, who can name one of the 4 subtypes of assignment currently in Moodle 2.2? Yep, online is 1. What's number 2? Yeah, multiple file upload, single file up, and offline. Yep. So those 4 subtypes were something that, yes, the dreaded single file upload, they were one thing that Martin particularly wanted to get rid of, because when we looked at it, and when a lot of people looked at it, they said, well, why do we have these 4 subtypes anyway? Why can't we just combine all those subtypes into just one assignment, just with different settings to give exactly the same thing, which made a whole lot of sense. Also, the desire to make the internal code more robust and ready for more modifications further down the track, and also to open up the assignment to what's called web services calls. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of web services before, I don't know what they are, it's a way of exposing a piece of functionality within Moodle to an outside system. So, for example, Moodle's mobile application, the iPhone application, runs by using web services calls which call into Moodle, grab information and display it out. At the moment, there is nothing like that within the assignment module. So one of the requirements was to get that in there as well. So Martin had these as the foundational things. These were not going to give any new functionality to people, but they were at least saying, yep, this is going to tidy up all the stuff for the foundational changes. Now, on top of that, we started looking at a whole bunch of enhancements. And there's a number of enhancements that people have been after in the assignment module for many years now. To give probably the 2 most common ones that I used to get beaten up about, one of them was, how do I do a group assignment or a team assignment? So you have one student submit on behalf of a group, and as a teacher I just want to mark one assignment and have the same mark sent back to all of them. And another thing was, how do I give an individual student an extension to their deadline to the assignment? Functionality which has been introduced into the quiz in Moodle 2.1 or 2.2, I think 2.2. So you could give individual time extensions to students in the quiz, but you can't in the assignment. So there was a couple of examples of really commonly requested enhancements that we knew we really wanted to get in. And on top of that, we had this initial bunch of Flinders changes that we needed to get in there as well. So we rolled all 3 of those things together, and we looked at our options. And the options were either to abandon the changes and just say forget it and walk away, which we really didn't want to do, and at least with the Flinders things we just couldn't. We started to well, we could have maintained a fork of the assignment module. So gone on our own path, started to just design the thing by ourselves and maintain it as a completely separate module. Didn't really want to do that because we really wanted to get it back into core code, and for the reasons I said before. Or bite the bullet and update the assignment module, including all of the foundational things which really weren't helping us and our clients much, but they were things that were just a part of the deal. And thankfully at that time, the consortium of universities also put in a bid for NetSpot innovation funding. Now, the NetSpot innovation funding was run last year and this year, and was designed to allocate funding out to projects that were either enhancing or extending Moodle. And the consortium won a bid for funding for that, and that then allowed them to say, okay, well, we'll use a good chunk of this funding to fund this work that we want to do. So the decision that we made was that it was the best benefit to NetSpot clients and to Moodle, and to be honest to ourselves as well, to say, right, let's get in and we'll upgrade the assignment module. With the plan of attack being, all right, let's first implement those foundational changes, which is replication of the existing functionality, tidy up some of the messy code, make sure there was a nice neat migration path from the old to the new assignment type. And once we'd got past that initial layer, then okay, great, let's start looking at these enhancements. With the enhancements being driven by, firstly, what the consortium said, secondly, some of the popular tracker items, and finally, just some commonly requested features that some of our other clients said, look, this is really what we want. And it's also worth mentioning, though, that in this, one of Martin's things obviously was to say, well, this isn't going to be the NetSpot assignment module that's only going to be suitable for NetSpot clients. Whatever you do, it needs to be generic enough that all users of Moodle are going to benefit from these changes. So that was something that really framed our thinking as well, to make sure that whatever it was we were doing, it had to be generic enough that it wasn't just going to suit massive big users. It was also going to be really easy to use for smaller users too. So the timelines, just to give you an idea, this all started at the beginning of the year, where we started doing the specifications right at the beginning. Did some haggling over resourcing and how we were going to pay for the thing in leading through to February. There was a few months of development involved in there. Now, that wasn't solid development. There was sort of lots of stop-start in there while we sort of did some back and forth with Moodle headquarters. Around about May is when the official cutoff for any new code to make it into Moodle 2.3 exists. And once you get past that point, then it's basically Moodle headquarters just testing your code, QAing it, seeing if they can break it, and then integrating it into the actual Moodle 2.3 product. So it all went well. We all got through, and at the moment we are just in the lead up. It's been officially approved, and we're just now waiting patiently for the release of 2.3. Still trying to sneak a couple of last-minute things in, but we'll obviously take Martin's judgment as final on that, as well as now looking at additional development for 2.4, which I'll come back to. So the result, we ended up with a brand new assignment module, which included the first batch of enhancements scheduled for release in Moodle 2.3. And if you are keen on getting and seeing some of those, then that's the tracker item that you can follow, 26997. And all still talking with each other as well. Absolutely, Alan. And for those of you who don't know Alan Arnold, Alan is at the University of Canberra and has been one of the absolutely pivotal people on the consortium side in making this whole thing work. And I should say that it's been a very much a team effort, because while NetSpot have been doing all of the development of the code, it's actually been the members of our university consortium group that have been doing things like the testing and all of the documentation on Moodle Docs, or in the process of doing the documentation on Moodle Docs. So NetSpot have done all of the coding work, but it's been the members of our client community who have contributed as well by getting in there and doing some of the documentation. So could not have done it without them. So, okay, let's, I've PowerPointed you to death enough now. I think it's time to get in and do a demonstration. So let's see if I can. Now just bear with me while I refresh my memory about how to share. Now, Julian or Shane, I'm assuming I just stop sharing and then I start sharing again with something else. And I can share with assignment. Now, one of the things that I have discovered about, yep, so that's working. Sorry, Adobe seems to like minimizing itself. So, yep, just confirming that you can see the assignment module screen in there now. Okay, now while I'm running through the demo, I will not anymore. Okay, it's tricky because I can't have. Okay, I think I'm back in the room now. Sorry, that just crashed everything. I'm back now. Okay. All right, so I'll share a window here and I'll see how I go now. Okay, bear with me folks, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't end up with this in a world of hurt again like I did last time. Quite like Adobe, but I don't particularly like how it seems to minimize the presentation window. Share desktop, yeah, I'm doing share desktop. Okay, all right, I'll do share desktop then. Okay. Okay, so you can see the entire desktop now, is that correct? Yep. Okay, and I can see little messages popping up. All right, now hopefully this is okay. All right, that's great. Good. I'm at least running on a an 11-inch screen means hopefully I'm not squeezing you guys up for real estate too much. All right, so what I'll do is this is a demo version that we have been running internally at NetSpot. I've deliberately got it switched on to very basic, bland-looking one, just so that it's a bit quicker on the refreshing rather than having a very attractive one. So I have switched editing on in here, and you'll notice now that in the Add an Activity drop-down list, there at the moment is the old advanced uploading of files, but there's also a new assignment type that just, rather than called assignments, it's called assignment. And if I click on the link to that, then you'll see some familiar stuff and some new stuff. So we'll call this assignment 1. And we'll say that for the description of this assignment, I'd like you to both, I'd like you to upload 2 files as well as writing a paragraph in the online area for me to assess. So I want you to upload 2 files, but I also want you to do some text in the online area. So you can see now that in here we've got the similar fields in the assignment settings. However, we've also got now, you can see here, there is a button here saying require students to click a submit button. Can anybody guess what that's replacing? And in bonus points, if you can tell me what that's replacing and in which subtype. Yep, absolutely, Frederick. So that the only way you could get this in the past was if you're using send for marking in the advanced assignment. So in this one, I won't bother with that. I'll leave it off. I've still got the prevent late submissions and the from and the due date notifications as well. Now down here, you'll see in my submission settings, this is where now I've got the opportunity to pick out what I'd like. So in this one I said yes, I would like some online text in it, and yes, at the same time I would also like some file submissions. So I'll switch on file submissions and I'll say that I would like 2 files to be done. Would I like any comments on there? So comments are the equivalent of notes, which were previously accessible only in the advanced one. And I can also on here decide as a marker, do I want my markers to be able to submit feedback, comments and files? So in this case, okay, maybe I'd like my markers to be giving comments back, but no, I don't want them to be giving any feedback files. So you can see in there that I can combine as many of these as I'd like. Now, so I can sort of see the beginnings of some of the questions there just popping up. I'll come back to those and answer some questions after I've gone through the quick demo. So I can combine as many of them as I like, including switching all of them off. So I could say no, no, and I could leave that as no, but if I switch all of these off, so online and file submissions off, both set to no, that's the equivalent of the old offline assignment type. So it's one way of doing it. No confusion about which subtype. I can go back and I can edit these later on. So if I change my mind and think, I had file upload, but I really would like to have some online text as well, then I can go back in and I can change it. Whereas previously in the old assignment module, there was no way that I could do that. I would have had to go and delete the old assignment and then recreate one in a new assignment type that matched what I was after. And also worth just pointing out down here, so it's got the same old structure around the marking side of things, but I can also, it does support the rubric grading, so the new one does allow you to use the rubric stuff that came in Moodle 2.2, as well as all of the other bits and pieces that you would expect from an old one. So in this one, I'll go save and display. And you'll see in there. Now, a couple of quick ones. Outcomes and plagiarism plugin. The answer is yes to both. I'm not sure whether this version that I'm using has supported. Outcomes was something that we only added fairly recently. It should be in this one. If it's not, I'll give you a link to one that you can go and test this out for yourselves later on. But there should not have been anything that was deleted. Now, does it support groups? Depends what you mean by does it support groups. Hold on to that question, I will come back to it. So that is very simply how how this new assignment module functions. And it is these are primarily, well, entirely the foundational changes. So you'll notice that there's no new functionality that has been added in here. It is purely replicating the existing functionality. Now what I will do though is while I'm here, I'm just going to do a quick test to see if this has also got the migration code. So an old assignment what I'm going to do is I'm just creating an old assignment type based on the old plugins for subtypes of assignment. So I've got an old assignment there, and I just want to see whether we've got the up. No, sorry, I thought we might have had something in there about upgrading the assignments. There is an upgrade feature, but maybe it's not been installed, or maybe I need admin access to do it and I'm only logged in as a teacher. But what I can say is that there is an upgrade path which either you can upgrade your old assignments to the new type one by one, or if you're a site administrator, you can do a bulk upgrade of all assignments, which will run through your upgraded Moodle site and will upgrade all of the old assignment types to the one single new assignment type. Unfortunately, I can't show you that one today. I think I must need admin rights, and I haven't got it on this particular Moodle. And both assignment types will still be there. So if you wanted to have one switched on and one switched off for a while, then I don't believe there's any problem with leaving the old 4 subtypes one switched on to start with. Maybe switch on the new one, give it a bit of a try, and then when you're ready to do the upgrade, then you can upgrade those all individually. I haven't actually done that one yet, but talking to our developers, that's how I believe it works. So I'm going to come back and stop sharing that one now. Now, the old assignment types won't transfer automatically. That's one I'm actually not sure about right now. Or whether it's I know there is an admin setting which will allow you to automatically upgrade all of them, but I don't think it happens by default automatically when you upgrade the site. Now, questions, I'll just go back through the questions there. Now, Bill, does it support groups? It supports groups, but in the same way that the old assignment module did. So at the moment, it doesn't support group assignments, but I will show you some screenshots and where we're at with that, because we have actually done the development way there. And Frederick, the option to change the default settings, feedback files all the way to yes by default, and minimum number of files to upload, you could probably change that in the probably in config.php, I'm guessing, and that'd be something that we'd look to add in as a another site-wide configuration option to say do you want to sorry, I lost yeah, what are your default assignment settings that you'd like to have on for all new assignments. And Bill, yes, I'm very familiar with that discussion that Julian's having about improving groups, which that is independent of everything that we're doing here. So yeah, I can see both sides of the argument. I do agree with Julian about the whole groups change thing, but I can also see where the other side of the argument is coming from on why some don't want to do it the way Julian thinks it should be done. But yeah, I agree with him, but it's independent of this. Now, what I do need to do is to get back to my iMoot presentation and just do a bit of a wrap-up and tell you what's next. So just a quick bit of learning. I've gone through this fairly quickly, and it sounds, oh yeah, getting code into core, that's not too bad. Was it easy? Heck no, it was not easy. I think one of the things that we learned was the amount of rigor that there is around getting a chunk of code like this back into core. So there's a cycle there where we were doing the development, we were giving it to headquarters to review, they were giving us feedback, and then we were analysing the changes and going back to doing more coding. And that took a lot of effort. It was really a case for us of we'd give headquarters the code, they'd then say no, these all things need to be changed and then you'll be okay. We'd make those changes, then we'd give it back and headquarters say, oh well, that's okay, but now we found a whole bunch of other stuff, and that iterated around, and that was far more effort than what we first suspected. And I can certainly say that we are now a lot more understanding of just the sheer amount of effort it is to get stuff into core core Moodle, which is great. It's all about keeping really high quality code. It was painful, but we knew that it needed to be done. And now we look at it, and we're really in a situation now where we really look at this to say the boring stuff is all done. What I'm showing you now, this really is the dull gear that we had to do to get ourselves to the point of being able to look out and say, now the doors are open to do some good stuff. And included in that is, thanks Alan, and yes, definitely thanks to headquarters, we've also developed a bunch of other enhancements, so including those Flinders changes, which they're in the queue. The headquarters have the code. It's just a matter of whether they are going to be able to give us the okay to get those integrated into 2.3, given that we're cutting it so fine. Examples of those are individual time extensions, team assignments, blind anonymous marking, and the authenticity statement. I'll show you a couple of screenshots of what these mean. I was going to show you these in a development environment, but we then blew away our development environment to show, and yes, thank you, decimal grades is another one in there, Alan, which will be in that. So one thing I couldn't show you, this is code we've already developed, it's just with headquarters to see if it's going to sneak in. You'll see the little clock icon there. That clock icon for a marker means grant an extension to one student. So by clicking on that icon, you get the ability to extend that student's due date out into the future. So whereas in the past you would have had to go through all sorts of farnarkling to do workarounds to get this to happen, very simple way of giving individual extensions to students for that. The second one is the team, what we're calling team assignments, which effectively is a group-based assignment. So there's a setting in the assignment settings where you say, yes, I would like to make this a team-based assignment, and when a marker's marking it, then you mark one student's file. There's a checkbox there that you say, yes, please apply those grades and feedback to the entire team, and it gets pushed out to all of the members in that group. So a very simple way of being able to fix that age-old problem of I want to do group assignments, but I don't want to have to go and add all of their grades in individually. And the final one in there is what we call either blind or anonymous marking. Now this is where we would like our markers to be marking the work of students, but we don't want them to know who the students are. So in this case, what we do is we just generate a random participant number. This is my view as a marker, and I run through, I mark the papers, and I have no idea who I'm marking. Conversely, I can also have it that as a student, I don't know who has marked my paper. So I can configure it so that it will go one way or the other or both. So it can be one-way blind or double blind. So very nice for situations where you want to have anonymity around the marking process. So all of those last three that I showed, the code is there, it's developed. It will make it into Moodle at some point. It's just a matter of whether headquarters are going to have the time to get it in for 2.3 or not. We'd love it if they did, but obviously they're flat out doing so many other things getting 2.3 ready that we're not going to force the issue if they say no. Future developments that we've got on our list now, a lot of these came out of the consortium work, and I think some of these might actually be partially or completely done as well, but a lot more web services for mobile access and external marking management systems. So there's a bunch of external tools now that are floating around. One is called Lightwork Marking, and there's another one called Remarks PDF, and there's several of them that are all popping up now that are designed to allow you to churn all of your assignments out of an LMS, run them through a very nice marking interface that does a whole lot more stuff than what Moodle could ever do, including online annotation and cool things like that. And then be able to feed those assignments back into Moodle. So we're working with the nice folks from Lightwork at Massey University who are helping. They've actually done some of the development of web services, and we're now working with them to say, okay, how do we get those into the core Moodle assignment module, so then they can use their product, and anybody else who's got these kinds of products can then interface with Moodle's assignment module to make marking a whole lot easier. Cover sheets for assignments. In fact, I think we may have already done that. Self and peer assessment. So we all acknowledge that the workshop module is really powerful and a great thing, but for somebody who wants just a really simple marking model, then allowing students to mark each other's work really simply using the assignment module would be like a cut down workshop. So none of the complex funky mathematics that goes into the workshop mod, but just a simple way of doing it. Multiple markers, so being able to have, nominating how many markers should be marking each paper, and then having the grades tallied up across that. And again, just better support for offline marking. So being able, at the moment, you can zip and download files. It's there, but it's a bit clunky. We've actually got something already that we've, if not completely, at least partially developed. That is, zip them all up, download them with a nicely formatted spreadsheet. Put all of your marks into that spreadsheet, and then re-upload exactly that same spreadsheet, and have all the marks and any feedback get pushed back to the students through that process. So there's a lot of stuff there. In the future now, we'll be back having as soon as we have the final verdict on what's going to be in 2.3 from headquarters, we'll be going back to the consortium to see if they've got any resourcing to help us out with the funding for it. And also, I suppose, looking out to any other, anywhere else in the community that has some potential funding to help us do this work. And of course, if we don't do it, then it's still on the roadmap. It may or may not get done at some point by headquarters. But I think now that we're in the position where we've now rebuilt the whole thing from the ground up, we know it extremely well. We're in a really good place to be able to bring in some of these killer features that we would desperately love to see in the assignment module to help everyone, and to go back into core code so that everyone gets to benefit from them. So if you'd like any more details on these, you can check out the Moodle docs page, which is listed there, the tracker item that I've already listed once, and you can now go to qa.moodle.net, which is the live testing site, which gets updated. I don't know how often, but it's probably daily or something like that it gets updated. And is every hour on the hour updated, Alaska? There you go. Thank you very much, Teresa. And you can test out the new assignment module in that environment there. So there's logins on there that you can log in as a teacher or a student to see what it looks like, and go in and have a bit of a play to see what it looks like. Now, it would be remiss of me not to thank all of at least some of the people who have been really heavily involved. Damo Weiss from NetSpot, who's based in Perth, he's done the lion's share of the development work this and has been absolutely fantastic. Min Tam Nguyen, who was at the University of Canberra, we've been very lucky enough to have him come work with us now. He did the majority of the specification and working with the consortium to work out what this thing was actually going to look like. Vic Herrera, who was project managing the project at NetSpot, kicking all our backsides to make sure things stayed on track. Raymond Wijaya, who's on the development team as well, and who did some backup work with Damo, doing development work for it. Greta Wilkinson from Flinders Uni, who coordinated the majority of the events on the consortium side of things. So she sort of herded all of the different cats on the university side of things to keep that going. Special mention to Sam Hemwark from headquarters, who gave us a huge amount of support and guidance in pointing out where we needed to improve the code to get it ready to get in. Lots of effort from Sam, and we really appreciate him and the work that he did, and all the consortium members and the NetSpot Innovation Fund for putting up the money, including Alan Christie, the owner of NetSpot, who's been very, very supportive of us doing this and trying to support the community as best we can, and the other folks at headquarters, Martin as well, Dan Patowski as well has helped us out as well in the integration process. So thank you very much. Hopefully that's been a combination of story and demonstration. And hopefully it also gives you a bit of an insight into the process for getting a fairly significant chunk of code like this into core Moodle. And all I can say from now on is stay tuned. When you see the 2.3 assignment module, bear in mind that really is just going to be the beginning of it. There's lots more good stuff to go. And I'll say thank you now. I've gone for a touch more than I was planning. And yeah, I wish I had $1 for every time I've said that. And I'll open up to any questions or anything else from Shane. Now, Natalie, okay, sorry, going back to Gavin, is user receipts nearly done? That was done as a part of the Flinders changes. And I'm not sure if that one is in and ready to get back in yet, but it's certainly done as a part of the Flinders changes, and it's one of those ones we've got queued up, just waiting for headquarters to give us the okay. Does the student get to see the upload limit instead of guessing? Don't know, Natalie. I would go set one up in that qa.moodle.net site and give it a bit of a play. Yeah, I think they do. Oh, no problem at all, Bill. That's fine. It's a good question, and it's one that hopefully people are getting engaged and rattling cages from both sides of the fence to try and improve groups one way or the other. Thanks, Anna. All right. Well, I'll change my layout back to presentation, and I will hand back over to either Julian or Shane, whoever's in the room.
Hi Mark, it's Shane here. Yeah, no, thank you for that. It was great to see those changes going in, and yep, can certainly feel the pain about getting code into the core Moodle, so I understand that part of it. But thank you for demonstrating that, and looking at the chat, looks like everyone got something out of that, so thank you very much.
No problem at all. And as for those questions about what will and won't be in 2.3, get on to check out that tracker item that was listed, and that should have all of the sub jobs that are going towards to 2.3 and the assignment module rewrite. You can see which ones are being approved and which ones aren't. I'm not sure when the absolute final cutoff for any further little bits and pieces are to get into Moodle 2.3. I suspect it's already been and gone, but that's ultimately up to the team at headquarters. So, okay. Thank you very much, Shane, for facilitating. Thanks to everybody for coming along. Sorry, both options, assignment and assignments. The option will be there to have both of them in there, and through managing the managing activities, you could switch. You could leave them both switched on. You could do a well, you can switch the old one off. I mean, I suspect what people would do is probably turn the new one on. Have a quick play just to see that migrating their old ones works as they expect it to, then probably go through, do a log in as a site admin and do a bulk update, and then switch off the old one and leave the old one switched off. And with the third-party assignments, yeah, that's definitely something that you would need to check if you're running any custom assignment subtypes as to how they are going to upgrade. We did everything that we could back in the early consultation stages to let people who had been developing custom subtypes know that, hey, you're going to be up for some work, so keep an eye on this. But yeah, we tried, we did everything we could to consult with the community to let them know, but ultimately if they've developed plugins that depend on the old subtypes model, then yep, they're going to be in for some work, which is, to be honest, exactly why we prefer to try and get things into core rather than going and doing those sorts of things. And Christina, that is an excellent question, and at the moment there's nothing that we're doing to change that, but I would love to hear. I'm not sure if you've got any any capabilities or any people who'd be willing to look at funding that assignment submission plugin, we'll be sending it around. Yeah, I was wondering whether we were for the University of New South Wales stuff. That is one of the ones that we have tried to share it out to people to say, what do you want to do about upgrading that. So thanks for the poke in the ribs, Christina. Please do keep poking me in the ribs about that one, because it is it is one that is going to have to be upgraded at some point. But as I said, even though it's going to be there in Moodle 2.3, there is no necessity to have it running. Is there a way to crowdfund? Yeah, look, absolutely. I think it'd be probably something to get into the Moodle tracker or into the Mahara community, given that it's something that sort of sits on the edge between both Moodle and Mahara. These ones, I don't know about you, Christina, but I always find these ones a little bit curly to sort of work out who's actually going to do the work, given that it's an integration piece between two projects. But where there's a will, there's a way. And if you do want to discuss any of this other stuff, then ping me on Twitter, or Twitter's probably the easiest way to catch me these days if you want to do this, or if there are tasks in the tracker, then get in there and have your voice heard in there. Oh, cool. Thanks, Frederick. All right, I'll stop yapping and say thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the iMoot. I hope you have a fantastic time, and we'll see you around. Thank you.